Hi there. Hope you're having a good day. So we're presenting our gender and adolescent fiction presentation. And presenting is currently speaking Rachel Michalski.
I'm Julia Smith.
Talaya Vanderhorst.
And Ashley Murray.
And in this presentation, we're going to be comparing two works, a book called Cinder by Marissa Meyer, and we're going to be comparing that to Cinderella Story, the movie starring Hilary Duff and Chad Michael Murray. So starting off with Cinderella Story, Hilary Duff plays the character Sam, aka Cinderella. She is raised by a single man, the stereotypical Cinderella story where the mother is not present in the beginning. So being raised by a single father structures Sam's gender roles from growing up. So instead of being feminine, because she mentions at the beginning of the movie she's not very good at makeup or fashion because she missed that role model in her life, she focuses on sports and she presents herself, and her way of performing gender is stereotypically masculine. She wears Converse, hats, baggy clothing. She's pretty much androgynous appearance, and not only is her appearance androgynous, but her name, Sam, can go either male or female. Her role, with the role of a dad in her life, Kimmel would say their bonding over sports is the way that a dad usually bonds with a son, but instead the dad this is the only way that he's able to bond with his daughter. It's almost like beneath him to be teaching his daughter makeup and fashion, so he decides to marry and brings a woman into a household to fulfill those motherly roles.
In this movie, Chad Michael Murray, who plays Austin, and Sam, who is played by Hilary Duff, they meet each other on an online group because they're both going to attend Princeton, hopefully. However, Austin is the president of the school, and he's also the quarterback of the football team, which represents his hegemonic masculinity. However, he's also very masculine apologetic because he is a sensitive writer behind scenes when he's talking to Sam online. He uses his masculine roles as the ideal man, the head of the football team, to make up for his sensitivity. At the dance, Sam and Austin meet. However, Sam is scared to reveal her true identity to Austin because she doesn't want to disappoint him because she doesn't display emphasized femininity.
Both Sam and Austin work. However, Sam is a waitress, which is said to be domestic and a more feminine job. However, Austin works at a car wash, which is said to be more masculine, and he executes power and pride through his car wash, whereas Sam is seen as powerless and a weak diner girl. These jobs can be considered gendered job segregation because they both have occupations that are gendered and dominated by the same gender.
Austin is searching for Sam while also deciding whether he should pursue his football career or his dreams of becoming an author. And this is really a conflict with him, between what he should do for his stereotypical gender role versus his emotions. He is a football player, and his dad is really pushing him to pursue that as a career. Kimmel said, quote, "Fathers who use competitive anger at their sons is a way to pretend that they themselves weren't getting old," end quote. So his dad is really pushing him to stay in the typical masculine role while he is struggling to decide whether he wants to follow his dreams and be a more emotional version of himself, where he loves Sam, becomes a writer, and writes about very emotional things.
At the end of the movie, they both end up dating and going to Princeton together. However, this represents
benevolent sexism, which states that the female subordinates to the man, Austin both following their dreams to going to Princeton. Benevolent sexism can be shown here through Sam's subordination to Austin, and now her fairy tale ending is complete because she has someone to lean on and to be submissive to.
Cinder is a novel, and she is also the main character, and she also symbolizes Cinderella in this story. This story is set in the future, and Cinder is described as being Asian, tall. She's also half machine because she was attempted to be murdered when she was little by a fire. And she's also described as being a mechanic who's dirty, always covered in grease, and she always has her hair up in like this grubby ponytail. So she's very masculine character, and she is breaking out of the racial stereotypes that Wade and Marks Frey talk about that are put on Asian women, on the fact that they're like docile and petite and always kind of going with what other people are saying. Because she's very outspoken and very masculine, so she's going against these things. But she's also feminine apologetic because she has this effortless perfection, because Kai still finds her attractive in her grubbiness and her, even though she's a mechanic. However, she is keeping a secret from him. She doesn't let him know that she is half machine because there's a stigma against this in their culture, and she fears that he will no longer accept her after he finds out.
Emperor Kai is also known as the Prince Charming in this novel. He shows stereotypical feminine characteristics and qualities because he is very clean cut. He does not like getting dirty. He has a slender, slinky appearance, and he embodies more feminine traits than masculine traits. However, he is masculine apologetic due to his facade of being very rich and powerful and leading the land, which counterbalances his feminine characteristics. Throughout the novel, the Queen of the Moon is forcing him to marry her. This is very non-stereotypical because in modern day society, the woman usually gets asked to marry by the man. The queen is very aggressive, and this is also not typical in modern day society. When the proposal occurs, she proposes to him as opposed to him proposing to her in private. However, in public, he proposes to her, which goes along with the modern day. In addition, he asks Cinder to the ball, which is very typical. For instance, with prom and things like that, it's usually the men performing these promposals to the female.
Originally, Cinder does not want to go to the ball with Emperor Kai. However, she finds out the Queen of the Moon is planning to kill him. Therefore, she comes in and saves the day as the hero, which is not normal for our standard gender roles. Usually the man is seen as the hero, and in this case, Cinder is the hero going to save Kai.
So in this novel, she saves him from being killed by using her cyborg abilities. With her cyborg abilities, she uses her strength and power, which are stereotypically male characteristics, to save the male. And the male Kai in this scenario represents the damsel in distress, which is a role reversal. For the Cinderella tale, usually it's the female who is the damsel in the scenario. Also, there is a role reversal later on when Kai is pushing for marriage and Cinder is refusing. Cinder is the one who wants to be independent and do her own thing, and Kai is the one who is really hoping and wants a dependency of a relationship. Kimmel would say that this is like a role reversal because he talks about in his book about how men try to stay in guyland and in this hookup culture for as long as possible to keep their independency, to stay young, and to do their own thing, and women are the ones who are always searching for a relationship.
In A Cinderella Story and the book Cinder, there were a lot of things that can be compared. Starting off with Emperor Kai and Austen, they both relate in the fact that they use masculine apologetic through their roles of power. With Emperor Kai, he has a lot of like feminine characteristic where he is very clean cut and he seems as though he takes care of himself and he shows a lot of emotion towards Cinder. However, he compensates for this through his power as emperor. In the same regards with Austen, he's the captain of the football team and he's also the president of the school. However, behind the scenes, he is a compassionate writer.
Austen and Kai also relate in these two senses because they're both saved by the women of the tales. So Austen is metaphorically saved by Sam because Sam is the one who confronts him and tells him to pretty much go against societal norms, to do how he chooses, and she is combating patriarchy in her own, and he follows footstep with her. On the other hand, Kai is saved by Cinder, is actually saved by Cinder. Cinder uses her strength and power to save him from the queen. So both characters are saved by women, which usually the men are doing the saving.
When comparing Cinder and Sam, there are some similarities, and the first is the fact that they are both express very masculine traits. Sam is very into sports. She wears jeans, Converse, baggy shirts, and Cinder is a mechanic, and she's dirty, and she's kind of very like she's tall, and she expresses a lot of these masculine traits in her outward appearance. They're both defying the gender roles in this way. They both didn't want to go to the ball, which is how they're displaying masculine in an inward way. But they both have this effortless perfection because they're still liked by their males or their Prince Charmings. But at the same time, they both don't want to reveal their true selves. Cinder doesn't want to reveal that she's part machine, and Sam doesn't want to reveal her identity and her masculinity to Austen.
Sam and Cinder both have jobs that require hard labor. Sam is a waitress and Cinder is a mechanic. However, Sam's job is mostly dominated by females, whereas Cinder's job is mostly dominated by males doing a little bit more hard labor than busting tables and working in a diner.
In both Cinder and A Cinderella Story, the damsel in distress theme comes across. In A Cinderella Story, she needs a man to save her from the hard work of her job, as well as the poor living conditions and treatment she gets from her evil stepmother. As well as that, Austen helps her become more confident in herself and believe that she can get into Princeton. However, in Cinder, the emperor, Kai, seems to be more of the damsel in distress, and Cinder is the hero that saves him.
Although Sam and Cinder have a lot of similarities, their endings of the stories are a lot different. Sam ends up with Austen living happily ever after, kind of fulfilling this fairy tale and dependency on a man to be happy, whereas Cinder does not end up with the man, Kai, at the end of this first book. She's more independent and is focusing on herself and doing her own thing.
In conclusion, both of these stories are based off of a fairy tale, which are typically very gendered. Both of these stories, even though they're based off of the fairy tale, are very much breaking out of the classic gender roles.